Hey guys, what's up? Trail Chasers here today. Have you ever wanted a 10K hyper carbon enduro bike, but don't necessarily want to sell a kid or a kidney? Well, today we're going to round up my top 4 enduro bikes under $2,000. Anyways, let's hop right into it. There we go. Before we begin, let me just state, $2,000 is a lot of money for anything. However, these bikes are ones that can go literally anywhere. From Whistler to Doothy, they'll cover it all. Now, at this price range, I'd usually advise people to go used, because you can get a much nicer bike for the same price. However, I can understand why you want to buy new, so let's hop into those 4 bikes that I promised you about earlier. For the first bike on this list, it will be the 2018 Vitus Sommet with the Dior 1x10 system. In my opinion, this bike represents the best value at $1,899. However, to get it into the US, it's going to cost another extra $100. However, that being said, this bike features all the modern specifications. Boost spacing, front and rear, metric shock sizing, a dropper post, a 1x system, and while it may be a 1x10, it has an 1142 set, so it's got full 1x11 range. The only thing that makes this model stand down a little bit less from the rest is the Manitou Maddock fork up front. It's limited to 160 travel rather than the other models which sport a 170 fork. It's going to mean it's going to be a little bit twitchier in the handling, but overall should be just about similar to the rest. Good. The next bike on this list is the 2018 Polygon Ciske UT7. This bike is offered in a 29-140 travel format or a 150-27.5 format. The reason I chose this bike is because it's got a very well-known manufacturer behind it. Polygon is a highly regarded brand, and I think this also offers a great value. This one as well features a 1x10 with a 1142 spread. The MSRP on this is $2,000, so it's right at the top of the limit, but like I said, it comes with boost spacing, metric size shocks, and a dropper post. So just like the Vitus, this one will have everything you need to get on the trails. The thing that lets down the spec, in my mind, on this one is, again, the fork. A lot of these bikes, you'll see some sort of compromise within the forks because to get the larger format, larger travel forks, they do tend to cost more. So as one way of saving some money, they tend to spec a cheaper fork. This one comes with a RockShox sector. This is a 150 travel fork, so the 27.5 and the 29er will both not have an issue as far as travel in my concern. However, the 32mm stanchions of the sector does hold it back a bit, in my opinion. It's not a bad fork, and for a beginner it's going to feel amazing, but it's just not as refined as a ride as something like the Pike. For the next bike on our list, we're going to be going over the Motobecane 2018 Hal6 XT1x11. This bike comes in at $1,800, and the reason you want to pick up one of these is simply because of spec. While the frame isn't really a standout, the geometry is okay by modern standards. The real thing that draws people into these bikes is the fact that it comes with a Pike, a proper XT M8000 1x11 setup, Shimano SLX group set of brakes, but it's limited by the fact that it uses the older standard 12x142 and 15x100 axles and a non-metric size shock. That's not a deal breaker in my opinion, and I think if you're on a budget but really want nice parts, this is a great way to go. However, one thing I will say, the stem and the bars on these are a little bit dated, so you may want to swap those out when you get them. Otherwise, the bike's pretty good. Sadly, this one doesn't come with a dropper post though, and I think that's the one thing that I would really like to see on these bikes. For the last bike on this list, we're looking at the 2018 Teocali Sport from Mongoose. While this one definitely has the weakest spec and geometry in my eyes, you can also find this one for a lot cheaper than its listed price. Now, one of the things, like I said, that lets it down is its spec. It's got a 2x9 drivetrain, and the fork and shock leave a bit to be desired. There is no dropper on this model. It has the long stem and the shorter bars that kind of plague some of the cheaper enduro bikes. Overall though, I'd say this is a good frame and it'd be something that you could build on and definitely improve in the future. Now like I said, this one's pretty easy to find below its listing price, so if you are on more of a budget, I bet you could probably find one of these for around $1,400. However, the same can be said for a lot of the other bikes. Vitus is very easy to find last year's models for around $1,400, and other brands like Polygon are very well known for having good exchange rates in places like Australia. So really what depends on the best bike for you is going to depend on where you are and what you have your hands available on. So overall, I would stay away from the Teocali Sport unless you can get it for less price, because at $1,900 I really don't think it's worth it, considering that a lot of the other bikes that are the same price have a lot better spec. And if I'm being perfectly honest, there's a lot of negative connotations surrounding the name Mongoose. However, I will say in recent years they've made strides to better their brand, just like Diamondback has. So maybe it is the right choice for you. But at the end of the day, this is your choice. So, I hope to see you on the trails someday soon. This has been Trail Chasers, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye. There's a lot of there's a lot of shit, I can't remember. There's a lot of there's a lot of